And I want to tell you this, because this is so important. I know you are here for one reason, because you care about your country and you care about your children. And both of those things are very much at risk right now. I've been in Washington, Jennifer, for 25 years. I've never seen anything like what's going on in the last year and a half. And so it's just unbelievable to me that so many of you people care enough to be here. I call what's been going on around the country, and by the way, these kinds of meetings are going on everywhere around the country, every state. It's really this is the second American Revolution. So you want to tell me this? I want to tell you this because it is absolutely true. Not only do the Washington politicians hear you, they hear you, but much more importantly, folks, they fear you. Sit down and shut up. And you're not going to do that, right? You're not going to sit down and you're not going to shut up. So it's great to be here with you. You know, how many of you watching Fox News at night? Raise your hand. Thank God for Fox News, right? I mean, it is such an incredible thing. And I want to tell you something. The ratings just came out about 4 days ago for the month of January. And this is such great news, ladies and gentlemen. Not only is Fox News number one, I think you all know that Fox News is number one, right? And not only are they defeating every other network, MSNBC, CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, CNN headline news, but they are now getting twice as large an audience as the rest of the liberal talk shows combined. How many of you are reading the Wall Street Journal editorial page? I hope most of you. Thank you, first of all, for helping me pay my salary. We have written, Jennifer, I think, an editorial every day for the last 5 months on the health care bill. And it is such a testament, not just to what we did, the intellectual heavy lifting. We just basically tore that thing limb to limb and really exposed what a fraud that bill is. But the thing, so we like to think we played a part in grounding this. But what really grounded this bill, at least for now, because folks, this fight is not over. This fight on Obamacare is not over. But the point is that you all are the people who grounded this bill. And it's people, I mean, how about what happened in Massachusetts? Yeah, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, whatever you are. When you have one party that has complete control with no checks and balances, you see what happens, right? You see what's happened to our debt, our spending, and so on, and it is just incredibly unhealthy. So now, for the first time in Barack Obama's presidency, he does not have a blank check, right? He has, there are 41 Republican senators, and now he's going to have to reach across the aisle. And I hope Republicans continue to play defense like it's 4th down on the 1 yard. Let me tell you something about Obamacare, by the way. I'm a big believer that if we wanted to fix the healthcare system, all we have to do is 3 things, I think, and we can dramatically change and improve our healthcare system. Because I will give President Obama credit on one thing. He is exactly right. We do pay too much for healthcare in this country. There are inefficiencies in our healthcare system. And I think if we just did 3 things, it would have a dramatic impact on lowering the cost. Number 1. The words that every liberal hates to hear. Medical malpractice insurance. But I've actually read this bill. I'm like the only person in Washington, and I know none of the senators have read this bill. I read the 2,000-page bill. And here's the amazing thing. Does anybody in this room want to take a guess? Out of that 2,000-page bill, how many pages deal with medical malpractice reform? 0. Not a single page of that bill deals with one of the biggest problems we have in healthcare. I thought the president said this was going to be about shared sacrifice, right? Shared sacrifice? Everybody in this bill sacrifices except the trial lawyers. And I have a big problem with that. And then how about one of the most grotesque features of any bill that I've seen, literally, in the 27 years I've been in Washington? Did you all follow what happened with the union carve-out of the health care tax? I mean, truly, we now, I mean, basically, what the government wanted to do was basically say, if you're a member of a union, you're exempt from the tax. If you're not a member of a union, you do it. Folks, that's not even constitutional, right? You can't basically say some people can pay it and some people can't. I don't know who's distributing these constitutions. But I know most of you have read the Constitution. You know, these members of Congress, the first thing that they do when they come to Washington, they swear to uphold the Constitution. And folks, none of them have read this. They don't know what's in this document. And it is so outrageous. What you say? They can't read it, right? They can't read it all. So that is a book. Second of all, why not allow people to buy health insurance across state lines? Yeah! You're actually a relatively low-cost state with insurance because you don't have as many regulations as so many other states. But if you allow people to do that, I think you can cut the cost of insurance by half. And third, let's move to high-deductible health insurance plans, medical savings accounts, health savings. So raise your hand if you have an HSA or a medical savings account. They want to abolish those plans in this bill. They want to abolish those health care plans, which I think is outrageous. There's no question what Obama's plan is all about. It's moving towards a single-payer Canadian health care system. And folks, I've been to Canada. I've actually lived under that system. I will tell you this, it is the greatest healthcare system in the world unless you get sick, right? Unless you get sick. And then where do people in Canada come when they need high quality health care? They come to the United States of America. Where are people going to go if we go socialist? Where are people going to go for high quality health care? Second of all, since the economic crisis began, Washington, and this isn't just Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, this began under George Bush. So under the last year of Bush, in the first year and a half of Barack Obama, we have spent $2.5 trillion to try to put out this economic crisis. $2.5 trillion of government spending. Just to put that in perspective, for that amount of money, we could have completely abolished the personal and corporate income tax for a year and a half and it would have been cheaper. And I would submit to you all in this room that if we had told every business and every worker in America, you don't have to pay income tax for a year, our economy would be in a hell of a lot better shape than it is. One of the problems we have in Washington, one of the problems I have in communicating how completely insane our economic policies are now is the numbers are so big, it's just hard for us to even fathom. And when you're talking about the number, $3 trillion for this, $6 trillion for that, $10 trillion for that, our eyes glaze over, right? These numbers are so gigantic, we can't even relate to them. There's a saying in Washington that the trillion is the new billion, and it really is true. When did we even start talking about trillions? Somebody in the airport came up to me and said, don't tell Barack Obama what comes after a trillion. He's going to spend that. What's that, a gazillion? I'll tell you something. Here's a way to think about how much $1 trillion is. And this is a good one for the young folks. I was putting my 8-year-old to bed a couple months ago, and he pays attention to this stuff. I try to indoctrinate him with some of my ideas because I want to make sure that the public schools don't put too much left-wing ideas into it. And so I said to David, how much is $1 trillion? $1 trillion. And he said, I don't know. And so I said, David, who's the greatest basketball player in the world? And he instantly said, LeBron James. So I said, okay, let's go. So we went to Google. We Googled LeBron James. We found out LeBron James makes $40 million a year. $40 million a year to play basketball. We all agree that's you young people, that'd be a pretty good salary to make $40 million a year. That's a hell of a lot of money to play basketball. So I posed this question to my son David, and I'll pose the same question to you all. How many seasons do you think LeBron James would have to play basketball at $40 million a year to have $1 trillion?
All of them.
25,000 seasons.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? 25,000 seasons at $40 million a year to have $1 trillion. And we're going to borrow $10 trillion over the next decade. And that's just how wrong-headed our policies are.